Pt.1. I just wanted to make a little video and kind of share a testimony of God's faithfulness and goodness, just revolving around Africa and the fact that I get to lead a team to Kenya. And yeah, I have been processing like how to share my story with it, and I just feel like that I need to give God like all the glory and all the honor for like being so faithful. So that to say, here we go. I'm going to tell you about my heart for Africa and when it all started and what God's done over the past 8 years in preparing me for this. Here we go. So when I was like 14 or 15, I was about to start my freshman year of high school, or I was about to start my freshman year of high school. I went on a missions trip to Mexico with my church. It was my first ever mission trip, and when I got back, I remember them asking me to share at church. We all like got up there and shared, and I remember saying like, I feel like I'm called to Africa. And I remember it being kind of funny because it's like, you just got back from Mexico, like what is this about Africa? But I just fell so in love with missions like so quickly, and then my heart automatically was like Africa, like this, but Africa. Africa's a big place. It's a whole continent. Like there's a lot of places, a lot of countries in there, so I kind of just knew Africa. And my church was really awesome and grew me in my love and desire for missions, but honestly, I don't feel like anyone was really at a place to to help equip a young girl who feels called to missions. I don't know what anyone could have done in my position, because it's not like I mean I could have, but it's not like I could have just packed up and moved right away or done that. There was a time where we were supposed to go, and then it got canceled last minute. So Lord works in mysterious ways. But so from then I just like really held Africa in my heart, and I was like, even at one point I remember I was gonna get like the continent like tattooed on my arm, like on my wrist, and I was like, because I just love Africa so much. Anytime that anyone mentioned Africa, it was like, oh, that's my place. Like, whoa, I'm so excited. And like missions in Africa and orphanages and adoption, it was all like Africa for me. And so yeah, like what that looked like practically is me just volunteering for every mission trip that my church had. I was the first person on the sign-up list to go anywhere. So I went to Romania, and then I went to Mexico again, and I just had this like burning desire for missions. But at the end of high school, what I thought in my mind was, I have to have some kind of job to get me on the mission field. So I was like, oh, I'll be a nurse, like, and then I'll do medical missions. Like that's what you have to do to be a missionary. And it's like, okay. And so I was like, one day I'll get to Africa, like one day. And so I just like kind of held on to it and pursued nursing in the slightest way. And then that's just what I thought I had to do. That's what the world told me that's what the world told me I had to do. And then when was it? It was at the end of my second year of college. I was like, okay, here I am. Like, do I really want to do nursing? Like, I really just want to do missions. Like the first day of every college class, they say, like, what do you want to do? What's your major? What are you doing? And I would always be like, I'm like pursuing nursing because I want to be a medical missionary. And like the passion and desire was there. I just didn't know how to, what to do with it. And so at the end of my 2 years, I was kind of at a point where I needed to make a decision. Like, am I gonna apply for nursing schools? Am I going to change my major? What am I gonna do? And I really felt like God saying, like, do you remember what I called you to do? And I was like, what did God call me to do? Oh, he called me to Africa to be a missionary. And so I was like, oh gosh, like I have to do missions. And I knew of someone who had done YWAM, and shout out Bree Whaley Portsmeyer. And she was here in YWAM Honolulu, and that's all I knew. I knew like one other person that had done YWAM in like Australia or New Zealand, but I did not know about all the other bases. And so I told my mom, I was like, I think I'm gonna drop out of college and pursue missions. And she was like, finally, yes, like, I've been waiting for this. Like, the Lord told me that you were going to do this, but I just had to wait. I was like, that would have been nice to know. Oh, I'm getting so off topic, but my mom texted Bree and was like, Madison's thinking about YWAM, like, please reach out. And so Bree sent me this long message about how YWAM Honolulu was like a family with a heart for the nations, and I would feel really at home here. And I was like, okay, it sounds good. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. So I did, and while I was here, I got the opportunity to go to the Philippines. And so after we found out about the Philippines, I personally chose to like set Africa aside, and I was like, you know what, like, God probably doesn't want me to focus on that. Like, I need to focus on the Philippines. And so quickly, like, God spoke through so many other people, and like there was a worship night in particular where someone got a word from me, and they were like, hey, like, I know this is really random, but I feel like God said he wants to like renew your fire for Africa. And I remember like weeping because I like selfishly like set it aside and was like, you know, like, I need to focus on the Philippines, like I need to focus on this, and kind of push aside what I felt like God had called me to. And then right then and there, God was like, no, like, you need to remember this, because this is still the goal, like this is what we're getting to. And so I finished that school. I went and did another missions school through YWAM because I was like, oh, I want to be a long-term missionary, like I need to do this. In my head at that point, I was like, everything I'm doing is training for Africa. And it wasn't until, in that school, we had a lecture topic of, I don't know what it was, but the speaker was pushing us to really find out our mission statement and like our goal kind of thing, like what we want to do. And so we kind of had time to pray about it, and I felt like God was telling me that my mission statement is to show the love of Jesus to those who are unwanted by the world, because I feel really passionate about orphanage ministry. I feel really passionate about like special needs ministries, Africa, Uganda specifically, like in that. And back up to my DTS, one time people were praying for me just randomly. Okay, I had technical difficulties, aka my phone ran out of storage. Story of my life. So now I've switched to my computer. The quality has went down and the Zoom has went in now. So back to the story. There was a time where people were praying for me, and they just said, like, let's get words for Madison. And they had heard about Africa in my testimony, but that's about it. When two people specifically, one got, like, they saw the continent of Africa and everything was blurry but Ethiopia. And then another person just got the word Uganda. And Uganda was something that was really, like, stirring on my heart, but Ethiopia had been highlighted as well. And so that was cool. And my DTS, like, God was like, no, I'm still here. I'm still thinking about this. And so that was really cool. So flash forward back to that lecture week and just, again, showing Jesus' love to those that are unwanted was kind of like my heart posture and something that I was really excited for. Went to Cambodia, grew a lot, realized I was not ready to go on the mission field, and that there were a lot of things that I had put aside. It was a challenging time, like, with the Lord, but really good. I grew a lot from it, and I learned how to, like, be dependent on him and to walk through missions. I had put missions in a box. Like, this is what ministry looks like, and God completely shattered that in Cambodia when I was teaching English every day, all day. That was not what I had expected it to look like. So it was really cool and growing. So then, flash forward to the end of last year, I came back to Hawaii to do the Introduction to Staffing program, because that's what I felt like God was walking me towards, to really continue to grow and equip myself to one day maybe go out. And I felt like in that time he was highlighting, like, leadership things and trying to live out an example of a godly woman for all the young girls that I get to disciple in the school. So again, I kind of set aside Africa and everything God had spoke. I don't know why I keep doing that. I think I learned the first time, but I didn't. And we were at a church service at our church, the church that I go to here, Reunion, and this awesome woman, Rachel Morley, was speaking, and she was talking about making God Lord over things, and I had never heard that being like preached on or teached on. And at one point in the teaching, she said like it was more like an activation time where we were like processing with the Lord, and she was just giving us things to like ask. Um, and she said like for some people, God has spoken something to you, and like spoken a word to you, and it is like fearful, like you're fearful of it, like you're a little scared, or you're doubting that like is it ever gonna happen? Is it ever gonna happen? and and she was like, that's not like living the fully surrendered, like that's not fully surrendering that word that God spoke like to him, kind of thing. And at that point, I funny enough, I was kind of getting to the point where I was a little nervous about it, because in like fully surrendering to God's plan with Africa, it could look like me again giving up marriage and maybe like moving there and pushing back what again the world and what I think like an age is to get married. Like I'm 23, like time's getting like cutting close. And so thinking about me as a single woman like moving to Africa long term was so scary, and so I was beginning to tell people like, I feel like God says like Africa's gonna be something with like with my husband, and so it was kind of pushing it away because I was getting nervous that it was getting closer, and I was also, again, so that was like the fear in me. But I was also kind of doubting, like in a way of like, God, you spoke this so long ago. Like, is it actually ever gonna happen? Like, you sent me to a base, like a Y1 campus that focuses on Southeast Asia. Like, they never send teams to Africa. Like, each base has a focus, um, so that we all reach the 1040 window where the most unreached people are, and that's my heart too for unreached. And so like you call me to a place where I'm literally not gonna go, and I feel really passionate about like being here and staffing. Like what, I don't know what you're doing, I don't know what you're up to, kind of thing. Like yeah, just getting a little sassy with God, which is not good. um, and so when she said that, I was like, whoa, that's Africa. Like I need to actually like surrender it. And something else that she said was like, you should be at a place where even if it doesn't happen, but like God is still good and He's still faithful. And I was like, whoa, like I need to process this. I need to talk to God. And that night I was really adamant, like, God, this is yours. Like if you call me to Africa tomorrow, I will go. Like I will be obedient. I will set aside any of my desires, um, and what I like think I have to give up. Like I don't even care. Like I will pursue you, and I will pursue this word that you've spoken to me. But also, God, if it never happens, then like you're still good and you're still faithful. And maybe I just need to start praying for it more. And maybe there's a ministry that's like here that like it's tied from people who are from there. Or maybe one day I adopt a child from there. Like I was just like, God, I just want to fully surrender this to you, and like live out of that versus out of like what I was living in it. And it was really cool, and it was a really rewarding like breath of fresh air and like the peace that I feel like God gave me in that time. Um, so then the next quarter was this past January, where I led my first team to Mexico. And while we were there, we stayed in an orphanage for 5.5 weeks. And we were in a time where there were some things that were going on in our team, and we really felt like as leaders we needed to get together with our whole team and just ask God, why are we here? Like there were attitudes, there were like different things, like the enemy was really trying to like stir us up and cause division. And so we were like, we want to be like adamant to like, God, why am I here? And then like wait for him to speak, and then we're gonna share with the group, because there's almost like a validation kind of thing of like, God, why am I here? Oh yeah, that is why I'm here. Like thanks. Now I'm gonna remember that, and I'm gonna like when it's hard or when I'm tired or when I really want a warm shower or a nice bed, like that's what I'm gonna hold on to, and that's what I'm gonna remember. And so in that time I was like, God, why am I here? Like I know you want me to lead, I know you want me to grow, and gain experience, but like, why am I here in this specific place? And I felt like God said, like, remember that little mission statement you made for yourself that you wanted to show the love of Jesus to people that the world doesn't want, like children? I was like, yeah, like I remember that. Like that was really awesome. Like that's really my heartbeat. And he was like, look around. Like, where are you right now? And it just like clicked so strong that the orphanage that we worked with, oh, so great. And their heartbeat is to just show Jesus to these kids. Like they get the like kids that are maybe like the roughest or like the toughest and are just really set apart, and they like come out so kind and loving. And I think the pastor was sharing with us like social workers, like, what do you do there? Like what do you do at like this place? And he was like, oh, we show them Jesus. Like they come in and we love them like the Father loves us. And I don't know why it didn't click when he said it, but in that moment of like praying about it, like, whoa, like God, you're so good and you're so faithful, and you've put me in a place that like that's their heartbeat too. And so from that moment on, I felt like God was like, learn how to show compassion, learn how to forgive, learn how to walk in grace, like all these things that I would practically need to learn for a future in that kind of ministry. And I was like, oh God, you're so cool. And then one day I walked up to my co-leader and the pastor that ran the orphanage. They were just having a conversation, and I really didn't want to interrupt, so I just sat down beside him. I was just listening, and he literally said, like, yeah, like, we've been really passionate. We feel like we're supposed to kind of, like, maybe start up another orphanage at some point. Like, we're really feeling like Africa. Like, what? And, like, my whole body was tingly, and, like, I just felt the Lord so much on his words. And I was like, if it's with me, if it's not with me, like, God's going to bless that and he's going to use it, because what they are doing is, like, so powerful and so, like, there's such an anointing on them as leaders and as just people that God's called to raise these children. It's amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm taking so long. Anyways, and I just was like, and my co-leader, he said, like, oh, like, pray about it, you never know. And my co-leader was like, yeah, to be honest, like, I personally don't feel called to Africa, but, like, Madison does. And I was like, I'm trying really hard not to cry. He was like, what? I was like, can I tell you something? He was like, yeah. And I told him how, like, the Lord had reminded me of, like, that mission statement I set for myself, and then how he was like, I put you in a place that's what they long for too, and how, like, I felt like God was telling me to, like, really learn and to grow. And he was like, whoa, that's so cool. He was like, hey, keep praying into that, because, like, God's going to be faithful and he's going to do it. And it was just so encouraging of, like, oh, God, you still haven't forgot about it. Like, here I am again in Mexico, a whole other country, and you're bringing it up. Like, God, you're so good. All that to say, I was like, at that point, I was like, okay, God, like, you know, I'm fully surrendered. I'm, like, getting excited. Like, you're just good, and you're good no matter what. And so, summer goes on. We start this quarter. I find out that I'm going to lead a team with my friend Riley, who we grew up going to church together in Cleveland, and it's just crazy that the Lord's brought us back together in Hawaii, of all places. And a girl that staffs here, her name's Emma, her parents came to visit, and they're missionaries in Kenya. And while they were sharing, the Lord, like, wrecked me. I was, like, tearing up, trying not to cry the whole time they were just speaking and sharing about their time. And Riley and I kind of, like, gave each other a look of, like, we could go there. Like, should we pursue this? And so we were, like, texting back and forth and, like, looking at each other, and we were like, oh my gosh, like, what are the odds? And so we prayed about it, and we felt like we were at a point where we just wanted to talk to them. So one day we sat down and we were like, hypothetically, like, can you get into Kenya right now? Like, how's that process? And we're like, well, yeah, like, da 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 da. And we were just like, oh. And every time we talked about it, like, the thought of going was like, what? Like, tearful, joyful, like, powerful.
And so just from that conversation, we presented it to our leaders and we're like, is this an option? Like, we're in a funky time with COVID where we can kind of go other places because Southeast Asia is like stricter right now. They are starting to open up, but throughout this whole time they've been pretty strict, and so we haven't been able to go. So it gives us a little bit of wiggle room to try new things. And they were like, I mean, yeah, kind of get some more information. So we like talked with them more, went back and forth, and then we had like a prayer time where we were like, let's really pursue the Lord right now and see if this is what He wants. And we got so many cool words and like confirmation, and God is so cool, and He spoke so much, and it was so good. And it was like at the end of the meeting, we were like, let's pursue it. Like let's walk in boldness. Let's walk in this. Like let's pursue Kenya. Like let's do it. And I was like, like I don't know what to think. And then automatically it was like, this is not about me. Like this is not necessarily the country that I feel called to. Like this is about my team. Like I just didn't want it to be a selfish thing. Like, oh, this is all about Madison. Like Madison's finally getting to go. Like all these things. I just immediately was like, I'm so happy that like God is putting me with a team. Like team. And then all of a sudden, that everyone started encouraging me. They were like, no, but this is gonna be breakthrough for you. This is fulfillment for you as well. Like, don't push it aside. I was like, okay. And I sat there and I was like, I think we're going to Africa. And it just hit me, and I like lost it and started crying. And it was just like such a powerful, cool stinking time of like, oh God, being cool. And like before that, the week or two before that, we had some friends from Kona come over and like hang out with us and do ministry with us. And they were praying over the team or the staff one day, and one of the guys came and prayed for me, and he was like, you have a heart for unreached, like, do you have a heart for missions? And I was like, yeah, like weeping, as everyone does. And he was like God's put a specific place on your heart. Like I want you to call it out. Like call out the place that you want to go. Like say I want to go, and like then I was like, I want to go to Africa. He was like, no, God's giving you a specific place. Call it out. And I was like, I want to go to Uganda. And it was such like a powerful like breakthrough moment because I almost like surrendered it too much in the way of like not I wasn't pursuing it anymore, but like I was like, oh no, it's just surrendered. But it was like, no, I still need to pursue in a form of surrender. Um, and so that was like right before all this started to happen, and then it was like, God, what are you doing? What are you doing? And now we're going to Kenya. Like we're going. I have a team of 12 awesome students, 10 girls and 2 guys, and then my co-leader Riley. And like we every like phone call, every email, like it gets me so emotional because like God is so faithful. Like 8 years, 8 years since He spoke, like at least. Like there, oh, and I'm like, God, how do I share this? Like because this is all you. This is not me. And I just feel so strongly that again, I'm just supposed to say like God is faithful to His word. He's faithful like to things that He just said that He speaks to you. So if there's anyone that's like, oh, God spoke this to me, but it's been so long, like I doubt He remembers, or like, is it ever gonna come true? Like that's doubt. That's of the enemy and has no place in your mind and in your heart. Like God is so good and He's so faithful, and like let me be a testimony of it that like I've walked through this long process of surrender and gone back and forth and just God stretching me and molding me to a place that now I'm going to Africa. Like I get to go to Kenya and I get to lead an amazing team, and like God is so good. And so that's my story with it, and I really just felt strongly to share it on here. It was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, so I'm really sorry. But I just felt like I was supposed to share, and in that, like I am fundraising for flights, for tickets, and then for malaria medicine, yellow fever shots, visas, insurance, like all these things that I am fundraising for. So like I genuinely ask you to to pray about it, not to just give out of like obligation, but like pray about it and ask God, like, should I sow into the ministry that you're gonna do through Madison and her team in Kenya? Like, maybe it's an act of faith or like an act of obedience. Like, God, I'm gonna put money towards this because I believe that you're good on your word and like that you're gonna fulfill these things. And so, yeah, I just wanted to post it and to say all that because like God is good, and I'm not doubtful or fearful or nervous about the money that I is like coming up for me to pay, because God always provides, and I know Him so sincerely as provider. And so yeah, like let that be a testimony too, that like God will provide and He always does. So yeah, that's all. I'm sorry it was so long, but thanks for watching if you made it this far. That's all. Okay, bye.